And I worked with utilities and the PJM on this, and this bill reflects their input, and they support it. HB 2386 is a bill to encourage our electrical utilities and transmission line builders to use advanced conductors when building new transmission lines in an attempt to reduce the footprint of new lines and hopefully keep them inside the existing right-of-ways. The bill accomplishes this by adding to the conditions of SEC approval that the applicant must have made an effort in using the existing right-of-way, as well as requiring the SEC to evaluate the prudency of using advanced conductors. And the advanced conductors gives the provider opportunities to use the expanded right or the existing right-of-way without expanding it. As you may or may not have followed, there was a big controversy in mine and Senator Perry's district, as well as the surrounding areas, against a proposed transmission line that would have destroyed historically valuable sites and trampled over conservation easements and other carefully and arduously conserved green spaces in western Loudoun County, including two recognized historic districts. The bill will further discourage utilities from targeting areas outside of current right-of-ways, modernize the technology potentially used, and ensure that we do not harm areas of historic significance or green spaces, and ensure that we do not unnecessarily take land from our constituents or negatively impact their properties when there are better solutions. Thank you for your consideration on this bill, and I hope that you will help in our efforts to preserve Virginia's history and conserved land. I do believe there may be some people online to speak to this, Mr. Chairman.
There are, but first let me ask members of the panel if they have any questions or comments for Delegate Higgins. Seeing none. Anyone in the audience here want to testify in favor of HB 2386?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm an attorney for the County of Loudoun. My name is Jan Gustafsson. We support this bill in Loudoun and consider it advantageous for all localities throughout the Commonwealth. The language added here to Title 56 represents a prudent and measured step toward addressing the growing demand on power and the stress that places on localities attempting to both meet the demand and preserve as best as possible important long-standing characteristics of the land. The bill recognizes such localities with two additions to the statute. First, it recognizes it requires that the applicant summarize its efforts to use existing right-of-way before plotting new routes. Right-of-way ought to be among the first points of consideration when placing a line. They've already been deemed an appropriate place. Concessions have already been made in their establishment. Now, this bill does not prescribe use of existing right-of-way whenever practicable, only that they have been considered, leaving it to the SEC to determine the sufficiency of that consideration. The second addition is similarly measured, adding a point of consideration for the SEC. It provides that the Commission shall verify the type of conductors used and evaluate the prudency of advanced conductor technology. The operative word here is prudency. Similar to the point on right-of-way, this could not be interpreted to compel the use of advanced conductor technology when it is impractical, but it is another important point to consider in the calculus of transmission line placement. For localities facing pressure from unmet energy demand, every efficiency should be sought, every waste eliminated when prudent. And this is what this asks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there anyone else to testify in support of this bill?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Chrissy Noonan on behalf of Dominion Energy. We appreciate the patron addressing our concerns through the substitute, and we support the bill.
Is there anyone here? Oh, excuse me. We have two people online. Mr. Clerk, if you could call them up. There they are. Ms. Ehrman?
Yes. Good evening, Chair Sullivan, and thank you for your time today in service to our Commonwealth. My name is Tia Ehrman. I'm a senior land use field representative for the Piedmont Environmental Council, working in both Loudoun and Clark County. I'm a past president and current board member of the Loudoun County Farm Bureau, and I own and operate a sheep farm in western Loudoun. Speaking today in support of this bill, The potential new greenfield transmission line corridor proposed for Loudoun last year would have greatly damaged countless businesses and 20 years of work by both the farmers and the county to transform our agricultural economy into one which not only survives but thrives in an environment with increased residential density and high land prices. Our traditional ag businesses have found new ways to innovate, utilizing the large consumer marketplace located to our east, and many farms are heavily invested in agritourism, which this new greenfield line would have greatly impacted. The utilization of existing rights-of-way for new higher capacity transmission lines using advanced conductors is a vital necessity to adequately addressing the astronomical power demands of the data center industry while minimizing the damage done to our residents, businesses, environmental and historic resources residents and counties have worked hard to preserve. I encourage you to support the bill this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Zerman. Mr. Donahue? Sir, we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Now we have you. Yes, Mr. Donahue.
Okay, sorry. I thought you controlled that. Chair Sullivan and members of the subcommittee, thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Thomas Donahue, a retired electrical engineer living in western Loudoun County. The proposed amendment seeks to have the State Corporation Commission consider the potential for using advanced conductors as a means to make more extensive use of existing rights-of-way instead of taking more land, including for the big lines we need at 500 kilovolts to support the growth of data centers. New federal rules on transmission have a similar requirement for consideration of advanced conductors to help right-size existing transmission lines with the goal of reducing the need for new rights-of-way. The Data Center Coalition spoke in favor of advanced conductors at the SCC's technical conference last month because of the potential for cost containment. Industry has deployed over 120,000 miles of these conductors globally over a period of 22 years. The Tennessee Valley Authority deployed a pilot line at 500 kilovolts in 2013. Exelon deployed a 26.4-mile advanced conductor line at 500 kilovolts in northern Maryland in 2018, and other 500 kV lines have been built overseas. Virginia now has a critical need to build unprecedented transmission capacity, but we also need to avoid unnecessary burdens on communities and loss of land when alternatives are available. It is time for Virginia to make this technology part of its toolkit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Donahue. Is there anyone in the audience here to testify against HB 2386? Is there no one? There is no one online. Any further conversation between members of the committee? Questions for Delegate Higgins? Delegate Higgins, you want the last word?
I just hope that you all will support this. I think this bill and the one that will follow as well are not just good for Loudoun and Fauquier counties, but are good for anybody in the state that's facing a situation with the expansion of transmission lines.
We operate by motion.
Move to report.
Second.
With substitute.
What's your substitute motion? It's a motion to lay this bill on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a substitute motion properly seconded to lay 2386 on the table. Clerk, please open the roll. The motion passes 6-4.